I tried to punt.
All in!
All right, I tried to punt. For all the people that bought action, I tried to punt.
All in from Rampage.
He was tanking, and I'm just like, it's gonna be pretty rough to be buried $1 million.
Holy smokes.
Let's take a look at how Master Punter, Rampage Poker, punts off his stack. Or at least attempts to.
Well, again, I don't have my stacks up, but
instead of not playing any hands over there.
one guy that is in the teams for VPIP is Wesley, for sure.
I'm just joking.
You tried to needle you, Wesley.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Doesn't work, right? Never.
Doesn't work?
Yeah, never. Fish doesn't know.
Oh, Rampage here.
Never two, never work.
Ace-7 of clubs. Handz just gonna call with queen.
I mean, I watch a lot
When
of
I 5-bet with A5.
Gonna play a trap and gonna bring Pav in here. We don't see what he has.
I got 6-bet by 180K. That's killed. That's
We are playing 500, 1,000, 2,000 with a $2,000 ante. Folds around to Rampage in the small blind. He opts to raise it up to $9,000. 4.5 big blinds. You may look at this and say, why so much? But you have to realize, from the small blind in what is essentially a 3-blind game, you want to play really tightly, and when you do raise, you want to raise large. And you want to raise larger as stacks get deeper and deeper. You cannot make it 2.5 big blinds in a spot with a wide range. It's not going to work when you're out of position. Rampage does raise it up. Over to Handz with pocket queens. This is a spot where I would be 3-betting basically every time, unless I thought the player in the straddle was absolutely insane and it was going to re-raise every single time. That doesn't happen this time. Handz does call. Over to Pav in the big blind with king 8 offsuit. He calls as well. We're playing $1 million or so deep. Let's head to the flop.
I was like screaming at the...
In that game, you 5-bet 60K.
And how
in this
about
game, you 3-bet 60K.
top set here for Handz, who just flat called and he checks. And Pav here, open-ended
Wesley, very juicy player.
with king 8.
Flop comes Queen of Diamonds, Jack of Diamonds, 10 of Clubs. Rampage has a gut shot, straight draw to the nuts, and a backdoor flush draw. He opts to check. You may say, why check? How are you going to punt if you check? Well, you have to realize, whenever you are playing against 2 players and you are out of position, you're going to want to check a ton, especially when the board connects pretty well with their ranges. And while this board does connect pretty well with Rampage's range, it also connects really well with Handz' range. And, you know, Pav can have anything, so of course he could have some sort of pair or draw in this scenario. So Rampage is going to want to check a ton. As he does, he checks the ace-7 of clubs. Handz quickly checks the top set. I'd probably bet the top set because you can get a whole lot of value from a lot of worse hands, plus the board is quite draw heavy, but whatever. Handz decides to check, again, maybe because he thinks Pav is loose and aggressive and battly, so he wants to give him every chance to bet. Pav does decide to bet with the king. He has an open-ended straight draw. I don't mind it. Sure. Pav does go for 15K. Let's see how Rampage, with his ace high and backdoor flush draw, responds.
Handz super underupped. And Rampage is going to check raise here. This flop.
Yeah, he's not that player.
And Handz has got queen.
Big action.
Just with the flat call, pre.
Rampage opts to raise it up to $50,000. You may be shocked to see this. Why would you not fold? You only have ace high. But in this scenario, it's important to realize that Rampage's range contains all combinations of ace-king and king-9, and perhaps even all combinations of 9-8 for the bottom end of the straight. Whereas both of his opponents would presumably, in theory, maybe not in reality, but in theory, re-raise with ace-king preflop. That means that Rampage has a gigantic nut advantage in this situation. And when you have a gigantic nut advantage, you typically do want to raise with all of your nut hands that are almost always good, but vulnerable to being outdrawn, as straights are on this board, plus some bluffs. Logical bluffs include some flush draws with diamonds, hands with a king, hands perhaps with the ace of diamonds and another card, like maybe a 10 for bottom pair, and then some backdoor flush draws, ideally with the ace or the king, which is exactly what Rampage has. And as you get deeper and deeper and deeper, you get to check raise with more and more and more bluffs. And that is exactly what Rampage does. A lot of people just fold this ace high, but not Rampage. He's going to try to punt it off. He makes it $50,000. Over to Handz with top set. Let's see how he proceeds.
750k. 750k. Drinks bottle of scotch, 20k.
Rose gold interior. Not interior.
Anytime you ask, what did you drink last night? I drank a bottle of scotch, it was 7k.
A glass.
Cool, okay.
We'll call.
Drinking Coronas, and we feel like bosses. We're like, yeah.
Everyone's cheering, we can afford Corona.
Bob's out of there. I mean, Rampage could have ace, king, king, nine. I mean, he could have a lot of hands here. It's just a single raise pot.
This is a spot where many players think you should just raise. I guess it'd be a re-raise with the pocket queens. But it's important to understand that Handz lacks the nut advantage because he probably doesn't have a whole lot of ace-king in his pre-flop range, whereas obviously Rampage does. So that should result in Handz not re-raising much of anything in this spot. If he had a straight, he should just call. If he has a set, he should call. Two pair, he should call. Draws, he should call. And that's exactly what Handz does. He does call. I like it so far. Over to Pav with his open-ended straight draw. He makes the easy fold. He realizes he could just be dead. He gets out of the way. Let's go to the turn with the top set versus the mighty ace-high plus nut advantage.
And a club comes off here on the turn, and Rampage picks up the nut flush draw. So nut flush draw, gutter to a king. Check raise the flop as the pre-flop raiser.
At least I never slide. I don't need my queens, ace queen, ace king. Not like you, huh?
Leslie, you should come to Vegas and play with us. It's very, a lot of action.
175.
And here comes the overbet here. 175, and Handz is just so under-repped
What do you
here.
do? That's a good bluff.
I can't imagine how he's not going to continue.
That's definitely a good bluff. I mean, it's still better than your poker bluff, Carl.
The turn is beautiful for Rampage, bringing the two of clubs, and Rampage continues for a slight overpot of $175,000, leaving Handz with something like $600,000 and change going to the river if Handz decides to call. Now, you may say, should Rampage just check because he doesn't want to bet and get shoved on? You have to realize this is a spot where he should not get shoved on all that often because Rampage has all the ace-king in his range, which is again going to force Handz to mostly call or fold, assuming Handz plays well, and Handz does play well enough. So this is a spot where I think Rampage can pretty freely continue bluffing with a lot of flush draws. Now look, if Rampage did not turn a backdoor flush draw on this spot, he should probably just check fold. Would Rampage have check folded? I don't know. But when he gets to two of clubs, he must go for it, setting up, potentially, a nice punt on the river. Let's see how Handz proceeds facing this $175,000 bet.
I believe you. I believe your parents own a hedge fund. Not true? You own the hedge fund? Your hedge fund?
But again, we're dealing with much wider ranges than what would be expected here because Handz just
I own
flatted
a hedge fund. Woo.
the big blind versus
I've been
the small blind
forming
open.
right now. Yeah, I'd move to Australia.
And there's a call, and this would be a disaster if a queen or a jack of clubs somehow rolled off the Rampage.
It's a pretty dicey spot for Handz. Even with top set, he does not love it because he realizes very clearly Rampage has all the straights. Am I sounding like a broken record yet? When your opponent has all the straights and you can't beat a straight, it's not good. Some people think, shove with the top set. But if you shove, you're gonna get called by straights, which is not good. You're gonna be getting your money in way behind for a ton of real US dollars. So, Handz makes the only play. He calls. He's praying for a check on the river. Let's see if Rampage gives it to him.
Look at that sweet baby.
The river here
Look at that bullshit.
is a brick. And is Rampage going to go for it?
The river is the five of spades. Should Rampage go for it? What do you think? You know what? Let's get Rampage on the line and hear his thoughts about this scenario.
So I'm mainly thinking that on this flop, and when I check raise, Handz certainly has a really strong range, really strong hand. A lot of two pairs, a lot of pair plus combo draw, a lot of flush draws, a lot of just like strong stuff that ace high obviously isn't good for. And obviously when the turn comes and I turn some equity, then I think it's just a spot where I have to run it. Unfortunate for the size of the game. Unfortunate that I didn't have it. But yeah, when the turn comes, I felt like I could certainly apply a lot of pressure by overbetting turn, overbetting jamming on the river, and I certainly never expected Handz to have such a strong hand like top set. And yeah, mainly just trying to get him to fold a lot of the missed flush draws, could get him to fold the 2 pair combos, could get him to fold pair plus straight draw hands. A lot of stuff that I thought could fold. Honestly, if I knew he had top set, I certainly probably wasn't going to shove, but yeah, pretty tough spot.
There's absolutely no way that Rampage can know how strong. Handz all in! All in from Rampage.
We all knew he was going to punt it off here, right? Rampage does. Rip it all in. $618,000. Another slight overpot. Handz has a set. Can you really fold top set? Let's see.
What heart! Unbelievable. 618,000 all in. For people that said that his stack might not be in play, he's answered that question. Holy smokes. Again, if you're coming into this hand in the middle, super unorthodox.
Yeah, he must hate me.
Blind versus blind. Handz just called pre-flop. And he's gonna fold, and Rampage gets it through. Oh my God. Unbelievable.
We got a game!
Wow.
Stevie Handz!
Hand of the weekend.
Kid's got heart.
Yeah, he pulled a set.
He didn't fall the set.
Wow.
Yeah, Charles on, right?
Yeah, but
He didn't fall the set.
he pulled a set.
Oh, 2. Sorry, last night we were doing 1, 2, 2, so I was thinking Charles 4. No, thank you. Not that rich.
After a bit of deliberation, not even that much really, Handz lets the top set go, fully realizing he completely lacks the nut advantage. And when you are super deep stacked and your opponent wants to load in a ton of money and you completely lack the nut advantage, and they have a gigantic nut advantage, top set's a bluff catcher. You think Rampage is really going to load up a lot of money and then just bluff it off for everyone to see? Well, honestly, maybe. He clearly did it. But I certainly don't fault Handz for making the fold with what is a bluff catcher. In this stream, Rampage won about $588,000. Congrats to him. What I want to know is, what would you do if you casually won $588,000 in a poker session? What would you do with the money? Write it in the comment section below. What would I do? I'd buy in again and try it again the next day. That's going to be it for today. Thanks to Rampage for coming on. Good luck in your games. Have fun. And when you punt it off, make sure you apply a lot of pressure, because little bets do not get the job done. Oh, click the like and subscribe button below. Thank you. I'll talk to you next time.